Well, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are, soldiers. Thank you very much. What an exciting event I have planned today. I've got Chadwick, Coleman from Blood Rune, and it's going to be exciting. Happy New Year, everyone. And it's been a couple of weeks since we've had any communication, and there were so many things going on at Phantasma. It's incredibly exciting. 2021 is going to be such an incredible year. Why? Because of use cases, and the chain is being used and demonstrated of the capabilities. The benefits of this technology and this chain are paramount. And this today is going to be our second AMA with one of our DAP partners, Blood Rune, and the reason why is this game is phenomenally exciting. Granted, we've got 22 racing series that's live on the chain right now being utilized. They got multiplayer that's coming out in the next within weeks. It's not, well, maybe a month, maybe a little bit more than a month, but it's just absolutely exciting. And then just before the new year came, Ghost Market was launched, and we've got incredible art that's being sold on there. We've had music that's sold on there for 1 ETH. If you're doing your math, that's over $1,000. It's really, really exciting, everything that's happening at Phantasma. And so this event today is a really cool hybrid because Chad is an incredible artist, and we are going to show some of his art and talk about what Chad has done. I mean, I feel honored for the opportunity for this event. This man has worked on Disney, EA, THQ, I believe DreamWorks, correct me if I'm wrong, Def Jam. The list just goes on this man's resume, and some of the art that he's creating for Blood Rune is just incredible. So we're going to get a chance to get an inside look into how some of this art is being created and the different layers of all of that, and get inside of his computer. And then we've got a surprise because Chad's launching something this afternoon. And that's exciting. So on that note, without further ado, thanks for your patience, Chad. I told you I was going to take a couple of minutes to just give an introduction of what's happening with Phantasma, but thanks, man, for your time today and coming on the air. And so you, where are you, man, in the world? Share where you live. It looks sunny.
I'm in Los Angeles. I'm in Los Angeles, California. And yeah, it's a bright sunny day. It's usually a bright sunny day here. It's really great to be here. Thanks for having me. Really excited about this project. Yeah, it's just the stuff that we're working on right now is just in terms of where I'd like to be career-wise right now, and the types of things that I'd like to be doing as a creative and as a creator. This is right up my alley. It's a really great time right now for all of what we're doing right now.
I am so excited for 2021, especially with what's happening in the in the crypto space right now, and all of that. And you're in a unique, interesting place of the country, aren't you? In Hollywood, right in Hollywood.
I am in Hollywood, California.
Yeah, so
I'm in Los Angeles. I'm in Mid City.
But you're not originally. You're not born there. Where are you
Hollywood,
from?
Basically, originally I'm from Houston, Texas. I was there until I was 18, and then I moved to New York City to go to art school at the School of Visual Arts. So
you moved to New York.
I've been just going from major city to major city.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's yeah.
So like while I was in high school, I went to the High School for the Performing and Visual Arts. Mm-hmm. And then obviously for visual arts, and then I moved to New York when I graduated, and went to the School of Visual Arts there in Manhattan. And yeah, I had when you have New York as your campus for college, like it's just, there's no other place like it really. And I was super happy to be there. And just getting an opportunity to, be a creator in in a space like New York where it's like a moving river there. There's just stuff, people moving all the time. You know, if you walk out onto the street, there's always a constant line of people just moving up and down in traffic. So it's just exciting to be there, and all of the different things that have happened there. It's just, I was in heaven when I moved there, so that was really great.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. And you know, same thing. It's all where you're at for opportunities. And you know, California. Heck, there's more
Yeah,
people in the state of California than in the country I come from, and that's Canada. You know, I think California is considered the fifth biggest economy. I could be wrong on that fact, but if not, it's five or six in terms of economy sizes in itself. It's
not sure
absolutely
of facts.
incredible. So how long you been in Cali?
I moved here, so I graduated in 2003 from SVA, and I moved to LA like 2004-ish,
Mm-hmm.
that summer. It's basically like I graduated in the winter, or the before summer, did the whole summer, went back home and gathered all my stuff, and then like literally drove here, 22-hour trip from Houston, Texas to California to LA. And the reason I did that is because I had a job waiting for me here when I got here. And yeah, I'd taken some time while I was in New York to visit Cali. I had some friends that lived out here, and they were going to the school out here, and yeah, it was a chance for me to just kind of see what was going on, because you know, in New York there's so much stuff going on in terms of entertainment and art, and I wanted to see what else was out there before I just made a like firm
Uh,
decision to stay in New York. Because even though it's a great city, but it's a lot. I mean, I don't know if you've ever been there, but there's a lot to it. Um, and yeah, so moving to LA was a chance for me to kind of get involved in more of the entertainment industry, for you know, the kind of stuff that we're into, video games and TV and movies and stuff like that. So yeah, it was just a chance for me to expand on the things that I had learned while I was in New York.
well, you know, this is a good time to switch over and show that graphic of all of your organizations that you've worked with. Now, I know you can't see that right now, um, but you know that's the graphic that you created. That's got Disney and Marvel and THQ, and those are some phenomenally incredible names to have done some work for.
Oh yeah,
And you know, some of the
absolutely.
projects that you've worked on are projects that we all know about, we've all seen, and maybe either played or specifically watched. Do you have any, you know, since you moved to California and begun working with some of these names, do you have any particular projects that really come to mind that you're really proud of that you've worked on?
Well, let's say I was working for a company called Reality Check around 2006, 2007.
Mm-hmm.
And while I was there, this Reality Check's kind of a do viz. So like sports graphics and stuff like that is their main bread and butter. So, you know, when you're watching sports, all of the player stats and all that kind of stuff that are coming on the screen, like that was their main thing. But they also had a bunch of artists, 3D artists and 2D artists, come in to do a lot of stuff for television and special effects for movies and things like that. So it was cool to be able to be there and work amongst all of that going on. While I was there, I was working with a good friend of mine, whose name is Dean O'Ryan, and he brought me in on this project for Disney. This was the first time I'd worked for Disney, um,
Cool.
doing basically interactive games. Um, and this is, I mean, for today, till today, it's still one of my favorite projects, and I think it's still running. So basically, we did these big interactive display games that are at Epcot Center. Have you ever been to Epcot Center?
Oh yeah. Well, in Florida, if that's what you're referring to, but not Epcot in California.
Yep. Yeah, Epcot in Florida. So we got to fly out there and work with a bunch of the Imagineers. So Dean is an official Imagineer, and I was like a temporary Imagineer while I was working with them. But there's a ride at Epcot Center called Soarin', and Soarin' always has these really long lines. Like it's one of the most popular attractions it's there. So they had people waiting in line for 45 minutes to an hour, and they wanted to have something for the people to do while they were in line, just waiting. So we created these big. They're like 5 screens, and they're like I think 10 by 22 feet long. And there's 5 of them across the span of the queue for that the ride. And so it's interactive games. People are allowed to, the crowd is allowed to like move their hands around and manipulate what's going on the screen. So the screen is reading what the crowd is doing. And, we had a bunch of different games that we created. And I did all kinds of things on those, animation and character design and backgrounds and, just the whole nine. So it was that, to me, that's one of my proudest moments. And as far as I know, it's still there. You can still go to Epcot right now and play those games.
Wow, that's really neat. That's pretty neat, man. And so that's Disney, and
Yeah.
I was checking out a lot of your art and whatnot, and I can tell that you're a sports hero fan. And I see the logo Marvel on there. Is this some of your passion? Are you you enjoy comic books, and you are an artist? And
I love comic books. I've been reading them since I was a kid. My first kind of introduction to comics was through Marvel and through the X-Men. And I used to watch Saturday morning cartoons all the time. So I watched the X-Men cartoon that came on in the late 80s, early 90s. And just, every Saturday morning with a bowl of cereal sitting there, like literally eating it all. So for me, in terms of Marvel, it stuck in my head as a place that I was like, this is a place I would love to work, but it's inspiring. Just all of the things that are there are really inspiring in terms of the stories and all the stuff that Stan Lee created and all the different creators there. So while I was in school, I had an opportunity to do an internship. I had 2 opportunities to do 2 internships, and they were happening on alternating days. And one of those happened to be at Marvel Studios and or Marvel Comics at the time, and it's become what is it, Marvel Enterprises or Entertainment, something like that now. But yeah, I got to do an internship with Marvel and actually go to the building and work with all the people in the bullpen and working in the printing room initially. And yeah, it's Marvel Comics. What are you gonna say about what can't be said? This isn't already known. But it was great. I got to meet a lot of artists, and I had kind of the impression that when you go there, that the people, all of the artists that you see doing the comics and making the comics, like that they're all right there. I don't know why I had that impression in my head, but when I actually started working there, it's kind of like cubicles everywhere, like a regular office. Of course, they have like artwork and stuff like that on the walls, but it wasn't exactly what I expected, because all of the artists that work there are basically freelance artists and independent contractors. So they work from wherever they are. They work from home, and they'll do the artwork and then just mail it in or send it in digitally. And that's the way business is done back and forth there. So when I got there, I was basically in the print room and doing proofs and helping create the books, but figuring out all the printing process for all of that kind of stuff. But that's a beautiful experience. I loved it. I loved every single minute of it.
Dude, good for you, man. That's we just feel so honored to be able to be working with such experienced, talented individuals. And when we had the Blood Rune with Senjin and Joseph, and hearing about their stories and the parallels of a gentleman of the caliber of Senjin and Goaty Entertainment with Garth, it's absolutely incredible. And to hear their stories that they went through to find a chain like ours. And you're talking, I thought that these studios were a certain element, and I get there, and that's not really the case. So it just reminds me, perception is reality, and we've like the perceptions, especially when you can imagine when you were a kid, and the way the comic book industry was, and actually getting into it, and Stan Lee, and by the way, I'm a huge Marvel fan as well. But the perceptions of even like what's going on right now with our there's discussions in the chat room about our price of our token, and I just kind of look at that and I scratch my head and I go like, guys, like, cryptocurrency is one of the most volatile marketplaces, asset classes. Well, like, is the most volatile asset class in history, but also the most lucrative asset class in any of our lifetimes. Anybody that's in the game right now is winning. And when we talk about price and price reflection, everybody's got their particular opinion about that. But there's one thing that I know, and that there's value in this chain because of usage. Bottom line, that's it. It's the bottom line. People when people are using the chain, there's value in the chain, and there are so few chains out there that could boast the true use cases that genuinely have real value to it. And we just had a meeting with an esports team recently that approached Phantasma and has expressed interest in it because they see the value of NFTs inside of the esports community, especially this year. People don't realize, but although esports had increased, but the professional esports players are really hurting this year because they haven't gone to any live events. And that's where they get their sponsorship money, right. And that's where they have huge prize pools. Like look in Philadelphia this year, they just opened a 4,500 person esports arena. And these are arenas that are, around the globe. And so it's the technology of NFTs inside of gaming it's just phenomenal. So I wanted to address that in regards to perception, but I did want to touch on Marvel, and it is kind of near and dear to my heart because I did grow up a fan of a lot of different comic books and superheroes, and now I have a son, and like right now we're watching Black Lightning. That's our series that we're in. We just finished Arrow, and of course the Flash is just nice. It's just awesome, and those shows it's incredible. You can take a kid and a full adult, and we're highly immersed in it and have incredible conversations about transpires in these shows. And Stan Lee is just a type of dude. That's awesome. So you do all this type of stuff, and let's get when I started to talk to you, and I'm going to tell a little story, so I hope I don't embarrass you when I say it, and I didn't get permission, but I'm going to anyhow. And you reached out, you said, what does AMA stand for? And I just started laughing, and I thought, God, I thought that was funny because I asked the exact same question 2 months ago, what AMA stands for. I've been in internet marketing for 15 years. I own a marketing company, and I've been teaching online marketing for some time, selling information, doing a variety of different webinars and all these live events. And AMA, what is it? What does it mean? And it's just an ask me anything type of thing, and it's kind of been adopted in the crypto world. So, what? I had the same ignorance for that, but what? So, where are you in the crypto world? How seasoned of a man are you in crypto technology?
Well, the funny thing about it is once I met. Sinjin introduced me to Joseph, and you've had both of them on the show before, and I had knowledge of what Bitcoin was prior to meeting them, and kind of what its usage was or what its value was, but when I started to work with Saint and Joseph on this project, and Saint kind of explained to me what we were going to be using blockchain and crypto for in regards to the game, it kind of opened my mind to a different aspect of it that I hadn't thought about before. Which is everyone that I know that knows anything about Bitcoin is like trying to invest in Bitcoin, as an investor. But I don't know. There are a lot of people that are like utilizing the actual technology themselves to, make things or create things. So for me, once I figured out how they were going to utilize this for the game and for the cards and everything and minting and NFTs, I was like, oh wow, yeah, like there was a connection there, everything linked up and made sense once I understood all that. So Joseph was completely, absolutely paramount in informing me about all of the ins and outs of how that was going to work. And so in terms of the benefits of it, like I immediately, once I understood everything, I saw the value in utilizing this and Phantasma, and it was just very eye-opening. Like crypto is like, it's kind of difficult to understand if you don't know what it is or what it's like encompassing initially. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's a matter of just, I took a crash course in it, if you will, and watched a bunch of YouTube videos, did a bunch of research on Google to try to like get up to speed as to what this was and what all of the ins and outs were of it. But yeah, in terms of what we're doing now and artwork and creating things that will use the technology, it's really crazy. And I feel like it's like the early days of the internet, when if you're one of the first people that jumped on board, more than everyone else does, right? So you can take advantage of the fact that more than everyone and capitalize on all of the different things that no one knows about, and then everyone else is going to catch up later. So right now we're at that point, I feel, with cryptocurrency and Bitcoin and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, if you're in the know now, like you can totally take advantage of where it's going to be in the future. And I definitely think there's a future in it. Anyone who's an entrepreneur that I know that's, money makers, they're all about crypto right now. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's blockchain technology is just fascinating. And I try to, from just a personal perspective, when I'm having conversations, I tend to avoid the word crypto because it has a bad negative connotation. I was just talking to a friend a couple of days ago, and he's Bitcoin. It's just a big scam. It's a pyramid scheme, and I'm like, and then he's like, why would you want it? There's only so many Bitcoin. That's the point. I mean, economics 101, even in high school, they teach you about elements of scarcity.
Right.
And, the foundations. And it's just, there's some people that are just so challenging to wrap their heads around it. First off, I got to be accountable when I make a mistake. And, it's maybe that was a little bit of my nervousness on the air coming through. And you didn't call me out on it in regards to talking about the Flash and, their DC. Thanks, Ollie, for bringing that up. These are shows that we watch, and I just was leading down the comic path and mislabeled. But I'm more of a fan of the time I get to spend with my son than, the particular streams itself. But nonetheless, you make a good point in regards to crypto and adoption and leading back to the early days of the internet. And I remember, the year 2000 when my grandmother bought her first computer, and that's when I thought, holy cow, like this is really going to change. And she was 80 years old at the time, and it didn't take until 2005 for like a place like YouTube to come out. And when I think back between the year 2000 and 2005, what did we do on the internet without YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and all these channels? It's just it's fascinating. But when grandma's using blockchain technology, that's when it's too late to get in.
Yeah, that ship has sailed. Yeah.
But like I said, when I have, when I see esports teams that are reaching out to blockchains, it's the momentum started.
Yeah.
And that transition. Okay, so what we skipped over a little bit is how you actually connected with Senjin. Did you
Yeah.
work with him in the past, or?
So as I was explaining with working with my friend Dean and doing the Disney project, so around 2016, Dean and I had been going back on all these different projects that we were working on, and sometimes working with each other and sometimes working independently. And he called me in 2016 for this project working with in VR with a company called Spaces. And yeah, Spaces was on the cutting edge of what the capabilities were for VR at the time, and doing location-based VR experiences. So basically like theme parks for VR. And it's something that hadn't really been created here, and definitely that no one here in the States knew about, really. Like maybe overseas they delve into a lot of that technology, but basically Dean brought me in to do concept art and character design, and fabricating ride concepts, or experience concepts for VR. And this is where I met Saint, where I met Sinjin. And immediately I'm trying to remember the exact circumstances we were under, but like I could tell right away that Saint was like we were like-minded in a lot of ways. And he's a very open person, very like, it's a beautiful person in terms of sharing information, and just really being open to working with other people and things like that. And it's just, I was I was like, oh, this guy, and on top of that, he also just knows his stuff, off the bat, like just technology and everything. I learned a lot from him working with Spaces. So yeah, he and I were making virtual reality interactive experiences and games together. Yeah, and that was from 2016 until about 2019. And with the current circumstances that we are under right now, something like VR is not as lucrative in terms of, especially location-based VR. Like people can't leave right now to go anywhere, so it's just not as lucrative as it would have been in years past. But I still have my VR headset here. Like I haven't stopped at
Cool.
all. So yeah.
So you said people can't go anywhere. Is California in lockdown then?
It's kind of like we're kind of back and forth. What's funny is here in my little space that I have, I consider this my like cave of wonders, my own little pocket within LA, because outside of my walls, LA is happening. Like things are going on, but I'm like, this is my little hideaway. And like you and I were talking about in a previous conversation, I'm both an introvert and an extrovert. I can be, life of the party if I'm out, but when I'm here and I'm in my little space, like I like it, and it's my little safe hideaway. So in terms of lockdown, what's going on outside is people are still going to work sparsely. It's not nearly like what it was before. But yeah, it's we have periods of time where I guess we have curfews, and we're on lockdown a little more stringently, but it fluctuates. So I'm like, I don't even care. I'm just going to stay here as long as I can work with people online and communicate like we're doing now. Then I'll be fine.
Yeah,
So
I get that. It's funny in America. Well, with this project, we work with a lot of people from all around the planet, and it seems like most of other countries around the world have done this pandemic a little differently than the way America has handled it, and avoiding any of the elephants in the room. It's bizarre enough to have different rules from different states.
yeah.
And here's an example. Like my son in Illinois, they're allowed to practice hockey, but they can't play hockey. So
Wow.
we're going in all four directions, whether it's going to Wisconsin or Iowa or Michigan or Illinois, to play hockey games and play high schools that are just down the street.
Right.
because and it's just like it's kind of bizarre, the way all of these states have their different rules. So all right, so you meet Senjin, and anybody that doesn't know who Senjin is, he is the creator of Blood Rune, and you've got to watch his AMA. I think it was a month ago or so. It is available on the Phantasma YouTube channel, and he does an incredible overview of this incredible game called Blood Rune. That's what we're here for. So if you haven't seen that, you've got to get into it. This is a product that is going to have a NFT pre-sale in Q1. Unless these have changed, guys, please let us know. But last up we were given the information is an NFT sale in Q1, and the game is going to be live, available to play before the middle of summertime, so before Q3 at some point in time. There's still some loose dates, but this game is just it's cool AF is the way I'd like to put it. It's a hybrid. It's a tabletop game that has an integration of NFT technology. And Senjin approached, well, actually, let me take that back. You're talking about Joseph, which is a partner in the project. And Joseph is a brilliant marketing mind, as well as very educated in the crypto world. He's related to Senjin and says, listen, dude, you got this project that you're doing. You've got to check out this technology. And this was a few years ago. They find the technology. Joseph comes into the event. Now we're learning. Chadwick here had worked with Senjin in the past, recognized his capabilities, is an incredible artist, and is now designing art for Blood Rune. Now, I think I've got the ability here. Let me switch something here, and I'm going to do this, and then do that. No, do that. And now I've got on the screen artstation.com/ChadwickArt. Grab a pen out, guys, and if Joseph, if you're listening, throw this link into the chat group and go and check out some of Chad's art. Okay, it is second to none. This is a man that has done. We've learned some of the incredible work that he's worked on, some of the incredible projects. Senjin, which is just a brilliant mind once you watch that AMA, recruited this man to do some art, and you've been creating art for Blood Rune, which is, a lot of it can be seen on the Blood Rune Twitter, correct? I think.
Yep.
Like pretty much everything.
Instagram, all of the different social media outlets.
Okay. So when we were talking about this event, I said to Chad, I said, okay, can we maybe get an insight, and this whole world of digital art is new to me. I didn't fully appreciate it and fully understand it. But one thing I do know, and working in the world of digital media, is that anybody that's good with Photoshop is at least $100,000 a year. And, that's always an expression I've always used. A pro at Photoshop. Me, I can use Photoshop, but I'm lucky if I get $12 a year. But with that type of skill, and it is such an incredibly difficult application, and you throw in Illustrator and all these different layers to be able to create this, I've been thinking, I look at this art and I know that it takes time. I see a piece that probably 10, 15 hours worth of work being created by guys that are worth this price point. Now I understand why digital art should be sold for $500 or $1,000 or $2,000. Even pieces that are replicated, let alone a one of one. And the amount of time that you put into some of this art, especially the stuff that we're looking at the screen. I see Joseph has sent that link, so go and check some of that stuff out. And then so I was leading towards, I said, Chad, can we show some of this stuff of Blood Rune that you're working on? And he says, well, when I'm done, they put it on Twitter, but I'm not sure if I can show some stuff. And so I think we've got the ability to share your screen. I know we were running into some troubles earlier, that when Chad shares his screen, for whatever reason, it's taking a shot of it. He can't animate it. It looks a little squirrely, but we decided to to show it anyhow, guys. So I'm gonna switch over to your screen now, and if I could to that shot, Chad, if you can show your screen and maybe talk to us a little bit about what goes into creating some of the art for Blood Rune, and you had some sort of animation to show there. So all right, so I will do that. I'll clear that off, and
So you guys
yeah,
able to see that? Everybody seeing it?
yeah, we can see it as long as you're not moving stuff around, but we can't see you. Just your screen. So go ahead and talk to us a little bit about what's going on. I could see the drawing is happening there in the background.
Okay.
All right.
So yeah, I'll have this playing while I'm kind of explaining. So when we're creating artwork for Blood Rune, this is a sort of a period piece. It's kind of set. It has to do with time travel, but it's kind of set in medieval times as far as where we begin the story. And when Saint explained this to me, when Sinjin explained it to me, I kind of really got excited because I already love that like high fantasy and Lord of the Rings and dwarves and elves and centaur, all that kind of stuff, fairies. Like I love all of that kind of stuff. I grew up watching Dungeons and Dragons and all of those sorts of things. So and playing all those kind of video games. This was right up my alley. I feel like Saint really couldn't have chosen a better person. As an additive, this is a role playing game, but it's in the same vein as like Magic the Gathering or Dungeons and Dragons. And when I was younger, I was in Boy Scouts. My father used to take me on these long. We're in Texas, so any road trip you go on is a long trip.
Yeah.
And you have a bunch of like guys in there. We have time on our hands to do nothing, so we would actually sit down and play. The two games that I remember the most were Rifts and Palladium. For any of you geeks out there that know about those things, but role playing games where you have a dungeon master and you have someone giving you an adventure to go on, and everyone has to make their characters, right? So you create your character, write it all down, all their stats and all that kind of stuff. This was my first experience with this kind of stuff. I was reading comics before, but then this was like a new thing for me. And so getting to create a character out of nothing and then go on an adventure was like mind blown, right? So in terms of what the game is now, it has to do with like time travel and alternate realities, if you will. So imagine that we still live in our world, but in terms of the time stream, the way things transpired in history, the events will have changed. Like the events will have happened the same way, or the same events will have happened, but maybe a different person. So it's like, let's say the fall of Rome or something like that. That would have still occurred, but in our world, maybe Rome wasn't in Rome. Maybe it's in Australia or something like that. So getting your head wrapped around the concept of what does that look like? What do the people look like? What would their if it's war, what does their gear look like? What does their equipment look like? Their attire, how do they speak? All this kind of stuff. We're writing the lore of the story. So for me, those two aspects of having it be time manipulation, but also like manipulating the events of history, and having it set in a different place. For me, that's like immediately my mind started to race about what if scenarios. Like, well, what are the possibilities of if this thing happened in a different place and with different people? So for character creation, my mind goes to a bunch of different places, and I'm able to, in terms of thinking about the attire, what would they be wearing? Who are the characters? What are the different archetypes that we have? It's just, there's no way to really explain how, my mind starts racing on that. So being a creative, it was a really good fit. And so some of the stuff that you're seeing right now on the screen is the beginning stages of when we're creating a character, what it kind of takes. And Senjin will send me reference material of what he wants the character to look like, or he or she, and what they're wearing, kind of what time period we're talking about exactly, and then I start kind of doing my own research online about where I want to go or what I want to look for to help that vision, and then I take it to this stage. So I put these two images up. I don't know if you guys can still see the actual animation that's happening. Mm-hmm. So this is a process piece, and I have two different kind of working styles. One is a little more like cartoony or comic book or anime style, and then the other is more like realistic and your real characters from like real stories and things like that. So for me as an artist, it was really like I needed to be able to do both styles, without having to think about it. So lots of art school, lots of my own learning on my own. And so you have on the left me doing something that's like one of my regular style. I developed a style over the years from all of the different influences I have, arts-wise, Frank Frazetta, Jim Lee, all these people, Brown. And so I have my style, and then I have the style that we need for creating realistic looking characters for the games, but wanted them to be realistic but still a little stylized. So on this side, I have on the right side kind of a bit of a process that I go through for thinking about that kind of art, and I usually just start with a silhouette. I'll decide what the character's doing and what the scenario is, and then place them in that scenario. Then I just have to think about what position to put them in, and then start. So I just start with a basic silhouette, and then, as you can see on the second image, like I basically start painting in all of the different elements of it that we're gonna need. Just two completely different styles.
I have so many different questions here and whatnot, and we're running out of time, and so I want to make sure that we hit some of our bullet points. And Absolutely. Like, this is just fascinating to me, dude. First off, like, what are you drawing? Like, are you drawing with a stylus on a screen, or are you starting on actual paper and scanning? What's that? What are you drawing on, and what tool?
It kind of depends on what I'm doing or my state of mind at the time. I like to start a lot with my sketchbook, and then I'll just scan it or take a picture of it and then bring it into Photoshop. Oh. But primarily it's Photoshop, and then I use Clip Studio Paint. It's another program that can do some of the things that Photoshop can't do. For me, I feel like it's better for painting, like actual rendering. And then I also I have an iPad, and I use Procreate on there in recent times. I just got it this past year. So, and it's made a lot of things. And being able to do this time lapse was one of the things that I was able to get from using Procreate. And so it's awesome. I just Photoshop, Procreate, and Clip Studio Paint primarily. That's what I'm using.
Wow. So now, I want to explain a couple of things here of what we're looking at, and this is art that's being created and going to be utilized inside the Blood Rune game. Anybody that's in the crypto space and has a familiarity with NFTs will understand this, but this is not dialogue for you guys. And, there was a great article in Cointelegraph maybe, 2 or 3 weeks ago about the process of having NFT sales and pre-sales for development houses to raise funds, and that's specifically what we're going to be going through with this with this partner within the next couple of months. And so some of this art here is going to be utilized in game as an NFT, and we will have the ability to go and purchase these NFTs and actually hold them. And now, the philosophies are that, if you believe in this game, which I wholeheartedly do, and I'll tell you, I told this to Senjin, I can't flip and wait to sit around on a Saturday night with whiskey and my geek friends and get drunk playing Blood Rune. And it is there's so many geeks that are in the 40s that I know, and nerds that are just gonna love this, and it's cool to be a geek nowadays anyhow. So
Totally.
I'm really looking forward to that. But back to the NFT sale is that if you believe that this game will get clout, then those NFTs will have increased value. And that just goes back to simple economics of supply and demand. There's an element of scarcity inside of blockchain technology. And that's what you'll learn in Economics 101, that everything on the planet truly has an element of scarcity. And that's what my son's high school, funny story, I'll digress a little bit, but we're driving and he was having his economics class in the car with his phone and his teacher's talking and he says, everything on the planet's scarce. And I'm like, well, digital art's not scarce. We can have an unlimited number of digital art pieces unless it's an NFT. Mm-hmm. Now it's got scarcity to it. And because it's got scarcity, it could then be, an economy could be created around that. Mm-hmm. And when there are 100,000 people playing this game, and there's only so many certain characters that were sold in the NFT sale, that's where the value is there, and that's where a true use case is. And that's why I'm so excited about Phantasma in 2021 and use cases with these games that are coming out. So I digress. So this is art that's going to be available for the game that you're working on. Let's get back to your camera and just finish this up, and we'll move to any questions that some people have.
1 second.
Hit those buttons there, and I'll go ahead. I'll hit my buttons over here. Move you there. Oh, there we go. That was seamless. How we're doing this, Chad. We're experts at this.
Old hats at this.
Yeah, we got it. And so it's I'm really excited for that NFT sale. But before we get into any questions, have you ever created an NFT before for yourself?
I have not actually.
No.
Getting familiar with the process, or getting familiar with the process, but to this date, no, not yet.
So folks, ladies and gentlemen, we've got an artist in front of us right now that has never created an NFT and is going to tell us that he's going to be creating a limited number of special art. And just like anything else that's art that's out there, this is a young man that's got incredible talent. And if you believe in the chain and you believe in Blood Rune, this man's art is going places. And it took a little bit of a shove and a push to say, dude, get off the horn and take advantage of the technology right now. But if I understand correctly, you've got some art that you are going to launch on Ghost Market after this event.
I am. So here's the thing about what I'm trying to accomplish. I have a comic book that I've been writing for years and years, since I was in college. And it's one of those, like things that you hold close. This is my baby. I don't want to let anyone in on it until it's finished, sort of thing. But I've become of the mind state in the past year or so, or last few years of one, you have to, if you want to be known for something, you have to do something. And you can quote me on that. And it's a matter of, I got tired of creating a bunch of things and then having them go nowhere in terms of my own artwork. I have journals. I have tons and tons of books, just that are full of just drawings and things like that, that no one will ever see, and I don't want that to be the case in terms of me and my art career. So I decided that I was going to start finishing a lot of these pieces and putting them out there for people to see. So all of my social media and everything, I'm starting to do that now. But the project that I'm working on is my own comic book, and I want to finish that. So I'm working on the comic at the moment, and I'm doing also kind of a companion book to it. So the comic will be sort of comic style, kind of like what you saw with the artwork that I was showing, the two different styles. And then the companion book will be kind of like a creature book for the characters that are in the comic. So it'll be a little more of the kind of rendering type of style that you see that I'm doing for Blood Rune. But I want to create I'm just in the process. I have tons of pieces that are in work in progress state, and so I want to finish all of those pieces. But what I'm using the blockchain for right now, and branching out, I've worked with all these different companies, and it's just I feel like it's time for me to do some of my own stuff. Not that I don't want to work with them anymore. I'm definitely going to work with them, but I need to also branch out and do some of my own things. So I'm taking the concepts of some of the pieces that I want to do for the book and selling them as NFTs on Phantasma. So, yeah.
That's good. So watch out for that, guys. We'll on the Phantasma Twitter account, we'll definitely be showcasing that once that goes live. In addition to that, on Ghost Market, we've got auctions that are coming up soon. I don't have a specific date for that, but it's soon. And again, it's within weeks. It's not months. And what that's going to enable artists like Chad to do is put up his art, a one of one piece or a one of three piece or whatnot, and auction it off. And utilizing some of the same technology that you've seen in Phantasma's auctions with say 22 Racing Series. So keep an eye out for that. We have shown. I think I didn't have it correct. Where is it? If I overlay that, you can go and check out his art over there, and then you guys have been seeing Chadwick's Twitter account at Chadwick Coleman. You can go and follow him there, and you'll be able to see the art there and follow some of that. And so that's really exciting. Now, AMA, Ask Me Anything. They've turned more into webinar style, but I don't know if the crypto world is ready for webinars, so we'll stick with AMA. But we do have a great question here from Manny, and actually, Manny pointed out, I believe earlier in the conversation, he or she says that they're in the Bay Area as well, so represent. Nice to see it, man. So Manny asks a good question, and I'm going to take a liberty to answer it a little bit. And Manny says, what made you and your team choose the Phantasma chain and the blockchain of choice for Blood Rune? So before I ask you to share your opinion on that, Manny, I'd like you to go and watch the Blood Rune AMA with Senjin. He's the founder of Illuminated Entertainment, which is the company behind Blood Rune. And their story is fantastic. Basically, in a nutshell, the story just goes they reach out, and his partner was looking for a chain that's got checked all the boxes, and they share all the boxes in that AMA, as well as there's some information with Goaty Entertainment that you may want to look into. And I think that's a really key point for Phantasma. I think that's a massive win for us as a chain, is some of these partners that we have, because of the intelligence and the vetting process of our partners is second to none, and they have vastly vetted all the projects that are out there, and Phantasma was the only one that checks all the boxes. So that's good. But I don't know if you were involved in that process or not, Chad. Were you going through and looking for a chain, or?
These are sort of the things that Saint and Joseph had kind of already figured out before I came on. So when Saint told me, we were talking about this project like 2 or 3 years prior, before we ever did any actual work on it. But I didn't learn about what technology we're going to be using until I actually started doing the artwork for it. So I wasn't familiar at all prior. But getting very familiar now with how everything works. So,
yeah, it is. So I thought I would throw that in there, Manny, because the answer is available, and we recognize the benefit in our partners and why they have chosen our chain. We feel honored, but we know that, and we know that the technology that has been built over the last 3 years today is second to none. And the capabilities for our partners to create multi-layer NFTs, which you can't do that on competing products that are out there today. They do have some sort of alternative workarounds, but it's not it's not minting on not minting multi-layer NFTs on demand.
Yeah.
Doesn't provide the transaction speeds of 5,000 transactions per second per sidechain on our chain, as well as really low NFT fees. And just as an example, with 22 Racing Series, if they created 280,000 NFTs for their game, okay, Chad, and do you have any idea how much that would cost on the Ethereum network to create 280,000 NFTs?
A lot more.
Yeah, like it's like
short answer.
Even if it's $2 an NFT, but it's as high as $20 an NFT, depending on congestion rates. You're at least $500,000 in costs.
Yeah.
How would an indie developer do that and raise? How are they supposed to raise funds through an NFT sale when it's going to cost them $500,000 to pay block producers? It makes no sense. I don't know the exact cost that it cost them to create on the Phantasma chain, but it's between $6,000 and $9,000 the cost to create that many NFTs, if not less. It's pennies. So watch out for their NFT sale, guys. It's coming up real soon. Watch out for Mr. Coleman's artwork on Ghost Market in the next couple of hours. He's going to be creating his first NFT. Like that's.
Do you want to? Well, I don't know if you can still share screen, but I have it here on my iPad screen. If you want to see the piece that I'm actually going to post first.
Oh, if we can do that. I thought we were having the technical difficulty that we couldn't show that because we couldn't animate your screen. But let me go over to that shot and go ahead and share your screen.
All right, let me do that now.
Shame on me, guys. That's my fault. We did have a plan. We've pretty much followed the plan, but holy cow!
So can you see that?
Yeah, I just about shared some French language on public air when I saw that.
I'll take that as a compliment.
Wow, look at the shadowing in there, dude. Like the shadowing on that nose and the eyes and down, even little bags in his eyes, and wow, man, and the coloring.
Yeah, I mean, these are all the creatures that live in my head, So, like I said, a matter of getting them out and out for people to see. So, this will be the very first item that I mint on Phantasma and Ghost Market. So, be on the lookout.
Yeah, and you got it signed down there. And do you have any idea on the parameters? Are you going to mint 10,000 or are you going to mint 1?
I think what I'm going to do first is I'm going to do kind of a limited series. So this year I may do around 10, and kind of keeping it limited right now. But I want to make sure that I do the best job that I can with these. And this is only one image, but as far as what what we can do with NFTs. And you can add other things in. You can link to other aspects. So if I wanted to put in some concept art or some like extra sketches or anything like that, you can add all that kind of stuff to these as NFTs. So it's like whoever's paying for these, like I want to make sure people are getting the most bang for their buck. And I'm glad that the technology allows for that.
Wow. And I think you just said something that we hadn't talked about that I think is also very big, is that you made reference to only releasing a limited number of new pieces per year.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be a limited number of like these major pieces, and then I may do some more affordable and smaller pieces. Not to say smaller, just not as detailed. Yeah. Wow. For everyone, but I want everyone to be able to have what I'm creating. So for sure.
Well, like I got to do it. Like Geo saying in the chat group, get them out of your head and into the world. Like that's what artists have got to do, man. And you've now got the vehicle to do it. So listen, Chadwick, dude, thank you for your time on today's event. This has been really exciting. If you just want to throw your camera back on so we can say our goodbyes, and This was really good. This was a great webinar, or sorry, great AMA, and we got some good insight into one of our I'll say preferred partners, because I am so stoked for Blood Rune and so stoked for this game to get out. And so, guys, keep an eye out for some of Chad's work. Keep an eye out for the NFT sale that's coming very soon. And I definitely haven't heard anything. We're definitely still on track with those dates. And my birthday is July 5th, so I'm going to be playing this game on my birthday is what I expect to be doing with a bottle of whiskey. I'm looking forward to it. So,
Same.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me, Scott.
Yeah, no, I'm honored to have you. I appreciate it with your time. But all right, we're gonna switch over to the outro, and have a good one, guys.